and welcome to week 1 of your Jersey Shore Boys Fantasy Baseball Recap Show, brought to you by Team Merr. Let's get right to the action. Let's start with the ugly. In this case, it's the matchup between the Philadelphia Fags and the explosive Renteria. Why we say it's ugly? Well, in one aspect, they did hit 10 home runs apiece in the 10-day period. However, neither team batted higher than 258. That's 258 by the Philadelphia Fags and 229 by the explosive Renteria. Ricky Weeks struck out a total of 14 times over the 10-day period. Now, the one bright spot for the Philadelphia Fags was Kyle Drabeck striking out 12 batters. That was probably somewhat of an unexpected total for the first week. As far as explosive Renteria, there are 0 highlights to report. David Wright struck out 11 times. That's to be expected. Troy Tulowitzki batted .214. Of course, he goes and turns that around against the Mets. But moving on, really nothing to show here on the pitching side of it for the explosive Renteria, except Jamie Garcia struck out 18 batters in his 2 starts with a .60 ERA and a .73 whip. So pretty impressive there. Final score of this matchup was Philadelphia Fags 10 and explosive Renteria 5. Next matchup we're looking at. We stay with the ugly. We are looking at the Jimmi Klim matchup. Now, on the Jimmi Klim side of it, Ike Davis did bat .364 with 10 RBI, and Brandon Phillips scored 12 runs. However, for this great pitching staff that we talked about, Cliff Lee with a .784 ERA for the week, John Axford with an .831 ERA, Dallas Braden with a .643 ERA. That's not going to get it done. On the other side of it, Mugen. With the Jay Bruce did strike out 14 times for him on offense. That was a downer. Ian Desmond batted .152. However, he got 10 runs out of Gordon Beckham. On the pitching side of it, Jared Weaver struck out 27 batters, went 3-0 with a .87 ERA and a .87 whip. Matt Cain with a .138 ERA. He won his game. Roy Oswalt, 2-0 with a .225 ERA. And Tim Hudson with a .234 ERA and a 1.04 whip. Final score, 11-4 Mugen. Jimmi Klim, myself, getting his butt whipped. My question to the Just Incredibles, did you rotate your team? You only had 10 guys on offense and the same 10 guys. I didn't imagine that Juan Pierre would be an everyday player for you. I know you like the guy. You had him last year, and the guy did steal 4 bases this year. But, I mean, are you going to play him every single game? I guess as of right now you are. Joey Votto with 12 runs for the Just Incredibles. Ian Kinsler with 4 home runs. However, only 7 RBI. You're Ian Kinsler. You score 9 runs. I guess he bats leadoff, right? Or at least at the top of the lineup. That probably has a lot to do with it. Roy Halladay with 13 strikeouts. Ian Kennedy with 12 strikeouts. The Yankee Clippard in relief work. 10 strikeouts, 0 ERA, and a .58 whip. Tyler, the Yankee Clippard, on Mags' side of it, really didn't have much to show for Mags. I mean, I got beat up 11-4. This was a bit even wider of a gap here. This was a 12-3 victory for Just Incredibles. On Mags' end of it, Brian Wilson, beard and all, 33.75 ERA over the first 10 days of the season. He did have Edison Volquez and Gavin Floyd with 13 strikeouts apiece, and Jeremy Guthrie and Trevor Cahill each coming in with ERAs under 2. However, Trevor Cahill with a 1.71 whip, so really not the great pairing of numbers there. Again, final score 12-3 in favor of the Just Incredibles. Moving right along, we've got 3 matchups to go here. Team Merr versus the Bubs Devils. On Team Merr's side of it, you got a lot of highlights on offense. I got .361 Ryan Howard, batted .361, 6 extra base hits, and 11 RBI. You got a 321 batting average from A-Rod. Jimmy Rollins batted 324. However, Merr, how did you pull off the win when you had Michael Kadire bat 107, Curtis Granderson 172, Drew Stubbs 237? Both those guys struck out 12 and 11 times respectively. And Mark Teixeira, who I guess is going back to his old batting stance, struck out 10 times with a 182 average. Ian Stewart and Raul Ibanez each with a 0 average, not giving you anything on offense, although Raul Ibanez did give you 1 RBI. On the pitching side of it, 17 strikeouts for CC Sabathia. Ricky Romero with 12 strikeouts. All ERAs under 1.5 there. Aaron Harang with an ERA under 1.5. All those guys, or both the last two I mentioned, Romero and Harang, whips under 1. For Bubs Devils, nothing really stood out for me here except for Dustin Pedroia batted 400. Nothing really else stood out. He only had 4 home runs as a team. Listen to these numbers though for Merr. Merr had 13 home runs, 29 extra base hits, yet only 38 RBI. That I don't see. 29 extra base hits, 13 home runs, 38 RBI for the week. Those numbers don't seem to mesh for me. However, Team Merr 10, Bubs Devils 5. The New York Jets versus Ikia. On the New York Jets side of it, the only thing that stood out for me on offense was 11 RBIs from Paul Konerko. He did bat 400, and 10 RBI from Carlos Quinton, batted 353. Stephen Drew batted 625 for him, and Yunel Escobar batted 474 for George with a 1.342 OBPS. Or OPS. I mean, that is pretty impressive. On the pitching side of it, he got 18 strikeouts from Tim Lincecum, 13 from Derek Lowe. When did Derek Lowe become a strikeout guy? On Ikia's side of it, low batting averages. Carlos Lee, 148. 147 from Ben Zobrist. 189 from Adrian Beltre. Ben Zobrist struck out 10 times. Vernon Wells batted 111. He did get 10 runs from Ryan Braun. Manny Ramirez, hell of a draft pick, Ikia. I hope that wasn't too early for you. 14 strikeouts for Ikia from Josh Beckett, 11 from A.J. Burnett, 12 from Dan Herron, 13 from John Danks, and 10 from Chris Carpenter. And Ikia did win the strikeouts battle, 93-87 on the pitching end of it. Certainly a large strikeout total for the pitchers for both teams there. Final score, New York Jets, George 9, Ikia, Justin 6. Moving to the final matchup of the week, and this was probably the match of the week. You had a lot of close categories, a lot of offense, a lot of good pitching. These guys combined for 33 home runs. They combined for 103 RBI. Their WHIP was calculated into the thousandths because calculating the WHIP to the tenths gave them came out to a tie. On pitching, they combined for 187 strikeouts. They combined for 17 saves and only 3 holds, though. To get into the numbers, Addie's Arsenal, Campy, he got 394 batting average from Billy Butler. He got Howie Kendrick batting 375. Both those guys had an OPS of over 1,000. 16 runs combined between them, 6 home runs, 9 RBI combined between those guys, and only 7 strikeouts. On the pitching end of it, Brett Anderson and Jeremy Hellickson. This is kind of rough. They went a combined 0-2, had an ERA of combined ERA of 3, combined WHIP of 1.2, struck out 20 batters, but they went 0-2. A little rough, but I'm sure they'll turn it around and get you some wins later. Clayton Kershaw with 17 strikeouts for Campy. Matt Garza with 12 strikeouts. So some large, gaudy numbers for Campy. On Maglio's end of it, he actually had some tough numbers from some of his key offensive guys. Albert Pujols batted 143, only 1 home run. Jorge Posada, while hitting 3 home runs, batted only 138, getting only 6 RBI. Shane Victorino, though, and Nelson Cruz would have helped turn it around for Maglio. They combined for about a 360 average, 16 runs, 17 RBI, 2 stolen bases between them. Both had an OPS of above 1,000. 438 batting average from Matt Kemp, along with a WHIP over 1,000. Alexei Ramirez, also solid 7 runs, 2 stolen bases, 6 stolen bases from Matt Kemp, if I didn't mention that. on the pitching end for it. The pitching end of it for Brad Campanella. 17 strikeouts from Justin Verlander, 13 from Ryan Dempster, 15 from Jonathan Sanchez. And two of those three guys had ERAs under 4. Ryan Dempster's ERA was a 6.59. So, and like I said, the WHIP came down to 1.264 to 1.263 in favor of Maglio. Did give him a 7th category as to close the gap, but the victory did go to Brad Campanella in what I felt was the matchup of the week. So that's your week 1. Myself deep into the basement, along with Bub's Devils. You do have some teams with 12 and 11 wins, but we'll see how the dust settles. So, once again, we thank you for listening. This video, as always, is brought to you by Team Merr, and we will see you once again next Tuesday morning.